All right, welcome to the Kim and Kossy Fantasy Baseball Show. Look at our awesome graphics. I'm your, I guess, host today, Insu, and we have a special guest. We got a Nabeel Khan from the Reverse Scoop podcast. You just want to give a quick second to promote anything or introduce yourself, Nabeel?
Yeah, man. Well, first of all, thank you for having me, guys. It's my first time doing a podcast, on a fantasy baseball channel. So, I want to obviously the goal for me here is to, let Americans know about cricket. I've been playing cricket in the U.S. for more than 20 years. Grew up playing cricket in Pakistan when I was 10 years old. Moved here as a kid and lost essentially the game because there was not enough infrastructure for kids to kind of play the game. When I moved to Connecticut at 16, I found a club that I, started cricket back up with. And I've been hooked, with cricket ever since. And now I'm 37. So it's my 21st season of playing club cricket in America, trying to grow the game, building infrastructure, and, translating cricket to Americans, trying to get them to understand it in baseball terms. So it becomes easier for them. So that's the essential goal, in trying to educate, baseball players, softball players. I've played a bit of baseball in high school myself. And, so I understand a little bit of kinks on what the transferable skills are on one side and what cricket requires, what baseball requires. That's why I think it's a good time
Yeah,
to,
absolutely.
just educate because cricket's really growing here. Major League Cricket's growing. So yeah, that's a bit about me. And
Yeah,
yeah, thanks again for having me, guys. I'm
yeah.
excited for this pod.
So we're gonna do some hot topic debates to start off, but want to introduce our Kossy. So I'm the Kim, he's the Kossy to the Koss camp. Do you want to give a few seconds to introduce yourself, Jordan?
Yeah, I think most people that follow our podcast probably already have a pretty, good idea who I am by this point. But similar to Nabeel, I grew up too small of a guy to play football, so I pretty much grew up playing basketball, baseball. I played through sophomore year of high school. Wasn't any good with that, so I finally it was fun, but I finally moved on to basically officiating sports, coaching sports, announcing sports. So I really love all athletics. I'm excited to learn more about cricket because I'm sure that I'm about to be, hardcore educated on the game of cricket. Something that, um, yeah, as just your average normal American that likes pretty much all sports, I've hardly been exposed to at all. So that's probably one of the most interesting things about our podcast today is the opportunity for us
Yeah.
to learn more about cricket, have some fun banter back and forth,
Yeah.
maybe see how it overlaps with baseball, and then go from there. But I've been doing fantasy baseball for over 20 years. Somebody introduced it to me in the early 2000s when I was in high school, and I've just become more and more obsessed with it since then. So,
Yeah. Well, thanks. So we'll jump right to it. So we'll have 5 minutes each. I'll be the moderator timer. Once those 5 minutes are off, just for the sake of time, we'll keep it rolling. So we got four topics. We'll start with the first one. Nabeel, if you want to kick us off, and then Jordan, feel free to banter whatever you want. This is a good question. Between cricket and baseball, what is the harder sport? We'll start with you, Nabeel.
Definitely cricket, man, by all means. And the number one point I'll put here is that a strike zone in baseball is a very small strike zone where batters are looking for a pitch in that strike zone. A strike zone for a cricketer is essentially all around. So if I could like draw it for you guys, if I'm standing there as a batter, above my head, around me, the entire field is a strike rate. For, not the entire field, but every area that's around that batter that he can hit. So the instant change from a batting standpoint of why cricket is harder is because the strike zone is like 10x of a baseball strike zone. And, what you need is reaction time to be able to pick up the length off the pitch to see in which direction of the strike zone it's heading. It could be at your body, it could be at your head, it could be on the left side of you, it could be on the right side of you. So you have to make those adjustments while being able to move and be mobile on your feet while hitting the ball. In baseball, you're still and standing, and you're looking for a pitch in your zone, and when you get it, you swing. And here, it's not the case. And here, you have to score runs, based on your entire field and where you're getting the ball. So you have to have the range of strokes to be able to hit the shots all around the park and not just in one area where some guys are just pull heavy or some guys can go oppo, some guys can just, hit line drives. Here you got to be able to do everything, hit behind you, hit front of you, hit on the right side and hit on the left side, play late, play fast. So yeah, definitely the skill wise, cricket is a much, much harder sport.
That's that's super interesting because that's one of the first times I've even heard an argument on what the strike zone is in cricket. That's one of the things I was looking forward to, especially with the first question is what's Nabeel going to come with? What's Nabeel going to say for the strike zone in cricket and the versatility? It sounds like your mechanics in terms of your footwork is something that is probably really important in the game of cricket, right? Because
Very.
you mentioned the aspect of basically being athletic enough to move and position yourself with the pitch, if that's
Yeah.
the technical term in cricket for
Yes. So if the ball is pitched right near your feet, so if you're standing as a batter and it pitches closer to your feet, you can hit a shot on your front foot. There's two kind of shots in cricket. One you play where your weight is transferred to the front foot, and one is played where your weight is transferred to the back foot. Now, if the pitch is going to be pitched on the half length of the pitch, so that means it's going to bounce almost near my head height, that kind of shot's going to get played on the back foot because the guy's going to have to go on the back foot and swivel and pull him around the backside or hook it around the backside for a shot. But if the pitch is right up there where he needs to play with a horizontal bat and hit it straight, that's when he's just going to play straight. So there's two options that batters are usually looking for, either a front foot shot or a back foot shot. And then there's just different shots in those particular segments. You can either play a front foot or a back foot. And then you can play any type of shot depending on where you're trying to hit, and on which side of the park.
the way you're describing it from an American standpoint with very little background knowledge of the sport, it almost sounds like this might not be perfect analogy, but it almost sounds like some sort of combination between golf and baseball, depending on the angle that the ball is bouncing in off the ground. Of course, I looked this up earlier this week because, I watch ESPN. I mean, heck, I watch the WNBA.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just saying, I watch pretty much anything that's on TV. World Baseball Classic, World Cup. I I see very little cricket on TV, if ever. So I was trying to look up and see this of our four questions is the hardest one for me to come at because I feel like I have a good understanding of why a baseball would be absurdly hard to hit. I feel like if you take somebody like LeBron James, let's just take LeBron James, right? And you put him in the batter's box. I truly don't know how hard it would be for him to hit a cricket ball, but I think if you gave him, let's just say you gave him 25 pitches against Paul Skeens or Tariq Skubal, I don't think that he would put the ball in play. So while I can't talk too much to, I'll bounce that back to you in just a second. Because I
You
want to
got
see
30
if
seconds, Kossy.
LeBron
You
could
got
hit
30
a,
seconds. Then we
okay,
got to move
LeBron
on.
could hit a cricket ball. It's tough to go from a 102 mile per hour pitch from Mason Miller to a breaking ball that looks like it's going to the same location and breaks off. It looks like to be all in with this that the internet looks pretty divided about this. What I saw online is that there's a lot of debate, both in cricket and baseball, it being extremely difficult, like to learn that as a skill, even if you're really athletic from another sport. So that was one of the things I found most interesting from looking online.
And
But
unfortunately,
I
that
did
is
want to swing back to him
time.
one more question. 25
Yes.
pitches in cricket. Could LeBron James put the ball in play? What do you think, Nabeel?
If he thinks in the right terms, so if you don't give him any type of technical or mechanical help, like what to actually do to face these 25 pitches,
Yeah.
then I don't expect him to, because he's going to approach it within a baseball mindset, his
Yes.
mechanics, his technique. And that's why I posted a reel with, MLB versus cricket, where Christopher Henry Gale, a man who scored over 20,000 international cricket runs, he went to the Blue Jays, hooked up with guys like Vladimir Guerrero, Bo Bichette,
Oh,
and
nice.
he swung and he batted on a few pitches, and he took it to like fish in the water. He was able to just have the mechanics switched from cricket to baseball. His back elbow was high, and he was swinging, finishing behind his left shoulder.
Uh-huh.
So and when it came for the baseball players to try their hands at cricket within that same reel, they couldn't transfer their mechanics from being a baseball player over to being a cricketer. And that's where the gap is, I feel like. When you're trying to hit a cricket ball, the mechanics is not baseball, but the mechanics is closer to golf, as you mentioned.
That is
Because
interesting. Yeah, I didn't even know that, but it sounded like you were saying you got to go down and almost golf it, or you can go up, or you got your weight on your back foot, your front foot. I know Unsu's going to blow a gasket if we don't transition to the
Yeah,
next question.
we're gonna move on to the second thing. Okay, so but thank you for participating on this first question. We got a few minutes on. We'll give a few, maybe like 4 minutes for this one. Who has the more loyal fans, baseball or cricket? Kossy, we'll start with you. More
I
loyal
will just start
fans.
with me and get it out of the way on this one. Yeah, so I grew up, obviously, it's funny how I grew up. I was at the baseball game where Mark McGuire tied the home run record. I can't even remember now. This is like 20 years ago from my childhood, which shows my age. I'm 38. Um, but anyways, yeah, tons of excitement with that. Ironically, it seemed like baseball was at its height in terms of a lot of the excitement when half of the league was doing steroids. You had that one year you had Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa, and you had the Cards Cubs rivalry. And I also remember some of the best baseball I've ever watched was when the Yankees were going at it with the Red Sox, and I believe that was the series where the Red Sox won 4 games in a row and came back and won the series. And so. I got to go with baseball for this one, Nabeel. I think I'd almost feel compelled to have to give you the nod on this on a global level. But certainly Americans, I think it's the 19th century is when baseball really kicked off. From a lot of what I read, they considered, this will be a good education opportunity, but they considered cricket to not be as friendly in America, like because of the length of the games, the complication of the rules, and I'll even use the word. I think some people use it, maybe viewed it as a little bit snobbish, or maybe another word would be elitist because it originated in a lot of country clubs and places where not everybody it really had access to the game. And so I really am setting you up there for where you think cricket is headed in America, because it looks like it's second globally already with over 2 billion followers, which I'll be honest, that did surprise me. I knew soccer took the crown on a global level, which of course from an American standpoint, we're trying to catch up in that. But man, I'm skeptical that cricket can get there because of a couple of the reasons that I just mentioned in the States. But I'm really curious to know, and this is your platform, to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, in the States, when we're going to talk about American cricket, I mean, it's come leaps and bounds in the last just 5 years, I would say. Major League Cricket has taken off, and we've got now 6 teams. By 2027, they're going to have 8 teams already. Right now, the season's it's going to start in June and go on until mid-July. So the seasons are like almost close to 2 months, and it's trying to essentially, grow into the American mainstream media sports. Obviously, cricket doesn't get the respect that it deserves in American main sport media when you look at the global audience, as you mentioned yourself. 2 billion plus, the broadcasting rights that comes with it, the global appeal of cricket that comes with it. Now, the franchise business world, from the cricket standpoint, they want to tap into the U.S. market. That's the bigger goal, and that's
For sure.
it's the Major League Cricket level. And when it comes to loyalty, for example, right, baseball has loyal fans, here in America, which are city first, or connected to where they live, or culturally based on where they're from. But cricket has generational loyalty. Like when you talk about America, our founding fathers played cricket, and the reason why I believe they kind of didn't make cricket the American game was because cricket was an English game. Cricket was
Mhm.
an English born game, and there was
Yeah,
a lot of beef. There was a lot of beef with
there
England and
was.
America, and it was a different time. So we gotta think of the context of which they were thinking. Now, if you look at today, how America is positioned compared to other global countries use kilograms, we use pounds. Countries use liters for gas, we use gallons. So even from the basic standpoint, when it go down to metrics, Americans wanted to be different. So that was the mentality, right? Even though the first international game of cricket was played between USA and Canada. First ever international game of cricket, guys. This is 1800 something I'm talking about, right? So America has a long lasting history in the game. It's just been forgotten.
Right.
And, now it's the time to really revive it because all of the franchise money that's been coming in from India, for example, the Indian Premier League is the biggest cricket league in the world. And we've got, PSL, we've got the England League, we've got leagues in Australia, South Africa, and all these leagues are massive revenue generators. And a lot of those owners are now monopolizing and reinvesting those dollars back into the market where they think it's going to boom. So right now, but the focus is where Americans haven't fully caught on to the sport. Right now, the focus is still the global audience that's living
Ain't
here in
gonna call
America.
time, but we'll let you wrap up. We'll wrap up your thought.
Yeah, so mostly the global audience that's living here in America, that's where their marketing focus is right now. But the next 5 years, the goal here is to be able to translate the game to Americans, sort of like what I'm trying to do, because you need people that can understand the American sports culture and understand how cricket works and be able to not explain it, but translate it. That's where John Boy, for example, is so great. He brought new fans to baseball because
That's true.
he the way he broke it down, the way he brought it to the audience, right?
Right. He's
Young
constantly
kids are
saying things like, hey, if you're new to baseball and teaching the game and the complexities of it. And now
yeah.
he even does a lot of other sports like cricket and other breakdowns. And it's pretty cool to
Yep.
see
Yep.
those
They have their
sports get
cricket.
exposure.
Yeah, they have their own cricket vertical now with That's Cricket. Adam Bannon is one of my buddies. He was my co-host on the Reverse Scoop, and they hired him. He's been running their channel, and he's doing a lot of the warehouse games and all that stuff,
Uh-huh.
and he's showcasing cricket, within that American mainstream media where they have such a big following. So it's a big edge. That
Yeah.
now we at least have content creators that are making
Right.
headway
It'll
into
be
the
interesting to
game.
see
Yeah.
where that heads in the near future with,
Yeah.
with all these other things to compete with in American, like the NFL and the
Yeah.
NBA, March Madness, etc.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
never know if
So
people
we
love
got
the
one more
sport,
question. We got
love the
sorry, I'm
sport.
going to cut you off there. We got to keep moving for time.
Yep.
Last one, and then we're going to play a game. Are the Dodgers good for baseball? Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, I know where Kossy stands. I don't know where you stand, Nabeel. I have an opinion. If both of you agree, I'm going to actually argue for the other side. So, Nabeel, why don't you kick us off? Are the Dodgers good for baseball? I know what Jordan thinks. What do you think?
Absolutely. I think they're awesome for baseball,
Oh,
man. You get to see you get to see, such a powerhouse of a team, and it provides a certain level of standard to the other teams, like what they say, there's an old saying, rising tide floats all boats, right? So when the tide rises, the other teams have to uplift their game. And if you're not willing to do that, you're going to get left behind. And for the game to move forward, for people to be invested in the game, you need that sort of dominance, or else, it's not worth anybody's time. So from a fan standpoint, from a Yankees fan standpoint, I've been a Yankee fan for 20 plus years, diehard Yankee. Whenever I get a chance to go to the game, I'll go to the game. And you know, so I don't like, particularly from Yankees winning a championship standpoint, I don't like it. But from having a baseball hat standpoint, as a fan who's thinking, man, is how big can baseball get in America? I think it's great. You need dominance, man. I mean, what if we didn't have a Babe Ruth, and at that point people saying, man, look at this guy smashing all the home runs. Like, we don't need him, kick him out, he's messing
yeah.
up everyone's standards. So it's the similar thing here, because when you have a team that's so dominant and they're willing to invest and spend money, that's what it's about. And other teams either gotta, put up or show up. So, they need to invest in and make some money, or else just be like the Colorado Rockies every season, don't really need to worry about it.
Oh yeah. Hey, Colorado right here.
Yeah, that's where Ensu lives, and you're right. They just keep showing up, selling out the stadium every single year, even though they win very, very few games. And Dick Monfort's more than happy to just keep selling hot dogs and tickets, and
Yeah.
getting rich because nobody's holding them to any standard. So I can definitely It's interesting your perspective on that. It's all the approach that you take to it, right? Like there obviously are a lot of Americans that I do think like to see dominance and like to see stacked teams. We kind of seen this a little bit with whether you take the Golden State Warriors in the NBA. I think of them. They were pretty dominant for a while. Like LeBron couldn't overcome that hump and other teams had to catch on to what they did. And so the game did morph a little bit. Although I would argue for the worst there. But that's a conversation for another time with trading, creating superstar teams. I think that for the most part, Americans don't like that. So I guess I would approach it more from that perspective. I think of a team like the England Patriots, and I kind of felt like, okay, if you're from New England or if you jumped on that bandwagon really early, or if you really like Tom Brady, like you were all about that, right? Because they pretty much dominated under Belichick and Brady like an entire decade of football. But then I look at something like March Madness and just the idea of, I would say that that's one of the most popular tournaments in the United States. I personally think it's because of the whole idea of the underdog, the parity. Yes, it is moving away from that now because of NIL and blue bloods becoming even more of blue bloods and getting a lot of talent stacked on teams. It just, to me, I think a lot of other Americans, I like competition. I like when you go into an NFL playoff format and you're like, man, I really don't know who's going to win it this year, you know? Like it could be this team, this team, this team. I think these other three teams have a shot. When you have a team like the Dodgers, and I do appreciate your perspective on the long play. But I definitely think in the short play where you enter a season and you're like, this team is so loaded with all-stars. Even just because their market is different from a lot of the other markets. Whether it's, I'll use the Pittsburgh Pirates as an example. I don't see how a team like the Pittsburgh Pirates, really, regardless of what they do under the current format, can possibly compete with them. And as a fan, I just don't think that a lot of Americans really like that. Um, just because it's not, I think a lot of corporate ties go into that where it's like a David versus Goliath and the Goliath wins over and over and over. I think that
Yeah.
they view that as being unfair. I think that they view that as being boring. And so right now I hate the Dodgers. And I would think that someone was wearing a Yankees hat would hate them as well. But maybe
Yeah,
not as much as the Houston Astros because they did kind of screw y'all, but that's again another conversation.
yeah. Well, the eye that I'm looking at it is like a administrator hat. You can say I'm also like a cricket administrator, and the number one rule that I learned right when you get into cricket administrator is when you get into a meeting on your administration, you have to take off your team hat and you got to put
Sure,
on
you're
the
right.
global baseball or the global cricket hat that's better for the entire game as general, right? Because that's what you want your mindset to be at in that particular point, so you don't get biased in your opinions one way or another. But I get where you're coming from, but I think it's good business. I'm a business person as well. I've run
Right.
multiple businesses. I'm still running some brands. So for me, I look at it as like, they've played the game to perfection. And I appreciate that aspect of it because then you can't ding him for, doing the right things and having a team at the end that's so dominant. It just means that other guys weren't good enough to think or be in that same way. So it just raises that standard of the entire league, in my opinion. And
I
again,
hope that it does. I'm a little skeptical. I
So
hope
that
that
is
it does, but I don't, to
finish
clarify, I
your
don't
thought,
see the
Kossy,
problem
in
being as
15
much
seconds
with the
or less.
Dodgers as much as the system, but yeah,
yeah,
that's
Well, hey,
fair.
we're gonna play a quick game. We're gonna transition here. Thank you for your thoughts. Also, just as an Asian, I like the Dodgers because it brings all the Koreans and Japanese from overseas. And but the unfortunate part is
man.
because of the Dodgers, they might have a lockout next year. So I don't know how I feel about that. We're gonna play a quick game. Since this is a fantasy baseball podcast, Nabil and Kasi. You guys, I'm going to give you three players, and each of you have up to three clues you can use. Okay, so if you get the player right, I'm going to give you 5 points. For every clue you use, I'm going to take a point away from you. We're going to play Guess That Player. I picked three random players from three of my leagues, and Kasi will start with you. Um, you tell me what stat or ranking you want me to give you, and then I'll give it to you, and then we'll start with there.
Oh, stat or ranking from that player.
Uh-huh.
How many? Oh, let's go with. Let's go with where is he currently ranked so far this season?
Okay, that's perfect. So based on the ranking, guess that player, rank number 7 in Yahoo leagues, Yahoo Fantasy
So
leagues.
this guy's really high up
Number
there.
7, early in the season.
I'm almost gonna assume it's a hitter, so I don't even want to use a clue and ask that. I'm just gonna roll with the fact that it's a top 10 hitter, and it's from one of your rosters.
That's correct.
I mean, that guess gives me, but we're in so many fantasy baseball leagues that still leaves enough wiggle room for me to have to go on a limb somewhere. Um, I got to think about this just for a second. I'll try to put in a quick guess. Somebody ranked in the top 10 after a couple weeks into the season. Um, you know what? I think I'm gonna have to go with O'Neal Cruz as a
Oh,
guess.
oh, you don't even want to use a clue? Okay.
I don't even want to use a clue. I'm
Okay.
just gonna
All
go
right.
for it.
Hold that thought. Nabeel, do you want to take a guess or a clue?
I'll take a clue. Yeah.
Let's
Sure,
press one.
I'll give you a clue. This player is an outfielder. That will be the clue. Not very
Okay.
helpful.
No, that helps a little bit. That breaks
Okay.
it down. Top 10
Outfielder.
outfielder. And these, so these rankings were at the end of 2 weeks, or was it like
You
at
know
the
what? It's
start?
at the end of today. So he actually
Okay.
might be ranked higher after playing today's game. That might give a little clue too. But been hot the
Okay.
last 3 weeks of the season.
Okay. So ranked number 7. I wouldn't say no, Tani, no,
And you know what?
Judge, no.
I'll give you a second clue just because you're a guest on the show. He is only 77% rostered. He's not even 100%
Oh,
rostered.
wow. Well,
Yeah.
then it
That's
can't be O'Neal Cruz. I would eliminate
O'Neal
that.
Cruz is pretty high up there.
and
Yeah.
not being 100% rust.
Yeah.
That's like insane.
Yeah, that's the most helpful clue so far. That's interesting.
Yeah, that would mean that preseason he must not have been a top 10.
All
That
right, so
means he's like,
I'll give you a final clue. This might I don't know if this will help or not, but yeah. So coming into the season, he was only 10% rostered, and in this last week, he has had a increase of 66%. I don't know if that
oh,
helps or hurts.
okay, so now I'm going to somebody who's breaking out this
That's
season.
right. You're on the right track.
We've got some guys from Colorado being picked up recently, so I don't know if Kim here's being a little bit,
Rocky.
yeah, yeah. Let me pick
I'm
some
not that much
Colorado.
of a homer now.
But
No, no.
I don't know if he would draft the Colorado players. So that's another clue that he's
That's
well
true.
Yeah,
competing,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's
Okay.
still a tough one.
It's still a very tough one, man. Yeah.
I'll give you 10 seconds for a final guess, Nabil. O'Neal Cruz
Okay.
versus
Okay.
Well,
I'm
I
gonna give
now
you.
know. Yeah.
How about somebody recently being picked up, man? Ay, ay, ay. Outfielder. Don't be
final
here.
guess.
I can't just blur a
Oh,
blank, man.
okay. You know what? I'll give you a softball. He, NL Central. Does that help either of you guys? NL Central.
So
And
Reds, Cubs,
NL
Pirates,
Central.
Brewers.
I'll give you this
Oh
one.
man.
This was. Do you guys know a player, Jordan Walker? Jordan
yeah,
Walker. He's
Oh,
been
the
having a
Cardinals.
hot
Okay.
thinking
start.
about this guy.
That's
Oh
one
my
where
God.
once
He
you
is.
say it, then
He's like
okay,
six
outfielder for the
foot
Cardinals.
seven, 250 pounds. He's only 23 years old. He's breaking out. So sorry if that was a hard one. Okay, so my other
No, he
two,
was in my mind. He's St. Louis, right? Or is
yeah,
he?
St. Louis Cardinal,
St.
yeah,
Louis.
St. Louis
Okay, yeah.
Cardinals.
But
That's all
damn.
good. We got two more about it. I don't know. I
See,
actually
the
don't know if
top
you're
10
gonna get
rankings
these other
threw me
two.
up. I was like, yeah, in top 10, then being, at
Yeah, yeah.
70% now. Wow, he's
Um,
ranked that high.
maybe we'll do one more and then we'll move on to some fantasy baseball takes. I'll give you one more and then we'll start with you, Nabil, and then we'll go to Kossy. I maybe that was a little bit hard, so I'll start again. Nabil, give me a stat or some kind of thing you would like from this player.
Give me the number of home runs he hit last season.
Last season, good. Okay, he actually didn't hit that many. He only hit 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it takes out all the power hitters.
Yeah, it takes them all
Oh, you know
out.
what? I'm gonna make it a little bit easier. He is very much a power hitter. He just didn't have a great season last year. He's a big
Okay.
boy. He's a big boy.
Ooh, I got someone in my head.
Oh, I'll take a clue.
Yeah. Clue. Let's see. How could I make this? This might be like a dead giveaway, but he was recently featured on one of John Boy's breakdowns. Maybe that's a dead giveaway. I don't know how closely you follow it. Jordan probably knows who it is now. A big boy featured on a John Boy video recently, very
I know
recently.
that, but I can't remember.
12 home runs recently. Toronto.
Okay, I'll give you another clue. Kossy, do you have a guess at all, or do you want a clue?
Um, what position is he?
He's also an outfielder.
We
Also an
got an
outfielder.
outfielder.
Yep.
Okay.
Um, well, I just remembered Christian Walker, but he's a first baseman who
Nope.
was
Nope. He's
bad
first
last year,
baseman, right?
but I think even he had closer to 20 home runs. But an outfielder that had 12 home runs, who's a power hitter. That's that's what he had last year, but is he ranked high this year? Is he doing well this
He's
year?
ranked pretty good this year, 35. And gosh, this might be a dead giveaway, but in the recent John Boy video, he was featured not necessarily for what he did.
Oh, I think I
Um,
got it.
you got it? You got
Is
it?
it
I,
Mike
You
Trout or
got it? What you
no?
got, Nabeel?
Joe Adele.
Oh, that same team. Same team.
Oh, Taylor Ward? No, not Taylor
Same
Ward.
team. I think one of you can get it. Joe Dell, yes, I saw that breakdown for 3 home runs.
It's like
This
who else do they have in their outfield at this point?
uh
Who was the guy that was there was that battle, right? There was like a fight.
Oh,
that's
Soler.
Jorge Soler. That's the guy that
Okay,
I had in mind.
Nabil, you were
Jorge
on that with
Soler.
the fight. That
He's
was
a big
good.
Yeah.
boy and he swung and missed. Thank you for playing. Hey, we got about we only have a few minutes left. Just want to close on this. We're gonna play not really play, but this is a corner that Kossy named Fantasy Baseball Fair or Foul. This is the Fantasy Baseball Corner. And so my question to you guys is, with the remaining time we have, we might get cut off here soon, is I had a league where I was ahead on average and OPS after Monday, and I realized I couldn't get any of the other hitting categories, so I benched all my guys after Monday. Now, we'll start with Kossy. You get a minute. Nabeel, you get a minute. Is this fair or is this foul? What do you got, Kossy?
I'm gonna go really fast. I think it's really cheesy, but you're in a league where you drafted all Asian players.
Yep.
So you got to get points any way you can. It's if it's this is a classic of like don't hate the player, hate the game. If there's a problem with it, ultimately you can't really get mad at the player. You're not cheating, you're playing within the rules. Also, if you do that long term, you're giving the other opponent 4 out of the 6 categories just to muster up as many wins as you can possibly get on an all Asian team. So I think it's pretty cheeky and corny, but I'm gonna say fair.
Oh, okay. Nabeel.
I mean, it's fair, but I wouldn't do it. I probably, you know, I like to accumulate like stats on a overall level because at the end of the day, it affects your rankings and it'll affect everything else. Your matchups towards the playoffs as well, right? So I'd like to make sure I maximize whatever stats I can get, irrespective of if it goes the other way for me, and it hasn't. Like I look at historics as well. Like historically, if I've were to bench players, would that have made a difference for me? I don't think
Yeah.
that much. I just keep my guys in, even if unless it's like because we play in points league,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So in points league it differs from rotisserie a little bit, right? Because I could have like a 1 point difference, and I could have one pitcher matchup left for that week on a Sunday, and I could be like, man, this guy could totally tank my team this week, or should I start him to get that extra point? So, should I have my 12th start? Should I not have my 12th start? Should I just have 11th start? Will that be better? So there's a lot of decision making, but more than often I usually end up going for it
Fair enough.
because you got to take your chances in life,
It's more
man.
fun, right? It's
That's
kind of
right.
more fun. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you take
Well,
your chances.
So to that note, I did end up benching all my hitters after Monday. I had an average of 400 and the OPS of 1,000, and I tied 6-6. So I'm actually proud of myself for the tie. Hey, we're
That's
gonna
awesome.
wrap up here things in just a minute. Nabeel, any other shout outs or plugs for your podcast or anything else you'd like the fans to know before we go?
Yeah, just follow cricket along, guys. Major League Cricket season starting. We do a lot of cricket content on local cricket, club cricket, and trying to highlight the talent that's coming up and translating the game. Doing the breakdowns, doing the real insights to translate the game to you guys. In baseball terms or in terms that you guys might understand. So that's the goal. So follow along on Nabeel Khan Cricket on Instagram, the Reverse Scoop YouTube channel, and the Reverse Scoop Instagram. You'll find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, everywhere. So just look up Nabeel Khan Cricket or the Reverse Scoop. You should find me, and we have podcasts, that we do as well. We bring on USA cricketers and Major League cricketers. So the collaboration's growing. So help us grow the game and make it a mainstream sport here in America.
All right. Well, hey, that's it for the pod. We are out. Thank you for joining us today.